How is a sourdough starter science? I'm glad you asked. As an avid baker, even I keep my distance from sourdough bread. Science isn't really my strong suit, and boy, is there a lot of science in baking a loaf of sourdough bread. I know, crazy, right? Starting from the first step, which is making your sourdough starter, to the baking process, science is everywhere. So what exactly is a sourdough starter? Sourdough starter is a fermented mixture containing and encouraging growth from microorganisms. The purpose of this is to give the sourdough loaf its signature sour taste and makes the dough rise similar to yeast you would buy at the store to use in other breads. Basically, you're making your very own colony of bacteria unique to you. Fun fact, you have a ton of microorganisms living on your hands, or your whole body really, but having a unique colony of them living on your hands will make its way into your starter and ultimately your bread, making sourdough starters as unique as a snowflake and as unique as you. To make a sourdough starter, you will need flour, water, and a glass jar. Yes, that's it. You probably already have what you need to make your own sourdough starter in your home right now. Flour is full of microorganisms. Yeast and lactobacillus are what we are concerned with when making sourdough. The yeast turn the sugars in the starch into CO2 and ethanol. The yeast is what we need for fermentation to occur, which will make our bread rise. Lactic acid is what is responsible for the sour taste in the sourdough as it affects pH balance. It can be a long process to make sourdough starter. It takes 7 to 14 days. On day 1, I combine 50 grams of whole wheat flour, 50 grams of unbleached all-purpose flour, and 100 grams of water per the instructions. I stirred until smooth, covered my mixture loosely with a paper towel, and left it out on the counter for 24 hours. On day 2, I stirred my mixture to incorporate air, and covered the paper towel once more over the jar and left it for 24 hours again. For the next 5 days, on the 24th hour, I would add 50 grams of the starter from the day before into a new jar, discarding any leftover. Then I would feed my starter containing my bacteria with 100 grams of all-purpose flour and 100 grams of water, covering the jar loosely each time with a paper towel. The first couple of days, nothing of significance happened, but then my starter started rising. By day 7 of feeding my starter would be bubbling over the jar by the time evening rolled around and had the sour smell typical of a good sourdough loaf.